This is what every YouTube expert won't tell you about starting a channel in 2026 and actually winning the game. I'm going to show you some of the biggest success secrets in the industry that most gurus don't want you to know. This is my YouTube channel going from 0 to 360,000 subscribers. And this is the 90-day period where I gained 100,000 of them. Most YouTube experts will never show you numbers like this because they don't actually have them. But I'm about to show you exactly how I did it. About 2 years ago, I was completely invisible on YouTube. I had 0 subscribers, 0 views, and 0 hope that anyone would ever even care about my message. I was trying everything that these supposed experts said would help. Post consistently, make better thumbnails, find your niche. Nothing was working. And even worse, I didn't have a strategy. Quite frankly, I was ready to quit. But then I discovered something that it seems like every YouTube guru is either hiding from you or doesn't even know themselves. And the strategies that actually work are the complete opposite of what everyone is teaching. You can't deny the proof, and the proof is right in the numbers. I'm not just some random YouTube expert who's never actually built a channel. I'm a guy who went from being invisible to 360,000 subscribers using the exact system that I'm about to share with you. But here's what shocked me the most. The biggest reason that most channels actually fail has nothing to do with your content quality or your subscriber count or views. It's something so simple that when I tell you, you're going to wonder why no one else has even talked about this. First of all, let me destroy one of the biggest myths that's keeping 95% of creators stuck at 0. Everyone always tells you that starting a YouTube channel is harder because of competition. They say this every year, but that is not the truth. The truth is that it's easier than it's ever been, but only if you know what game you're actually playing. You see, most people are still playing the game like we're still in 2023. They think that success looks like how many subscribers and views they can rack up. But what we have to understand is that YouTube's algorithm has shifted drastically. And I discovered this the hard way during my own journey to growth. Even when I hit my first 10K, I thought that I was winning, but my channel was still struggling. I realized that even though I was growing my subscriber count, my engagement was off. I also started to know that my views were very inconsistent, and that's when I realized that I was measuring a lot of the wrong metrics. The creators who figured out what YouTube actually rewards were not just growing faster, but they were building something completely different. Believe it or not, YouTube always rewards authority over entertainment, consistency over perfection, and community over subscribers. And as always, it's about the value of your content over how many views you're getting. You see, when you actually focus on these things, you're not just trying to appear to be someone, you are actually being that person. You're being the person that can help someone, and you have something behind your channel that will help you to grow into the future. The worst place that you could be stuck on YouTube is being an entertainment channel. This shift in thinking is what took me from being stuck to growing a sustainable business. I had a revelation and I started to realize that having more subscribers and more views was actually like having more leads to my business. But there was one problem. I did not have clarity in my business. And now creators everywhere are starting to notice that there are 7 specific shifts that separate the winners from the wannabes. And shift number 4 is the exact opposite of what everyone has always been teaching. The first shift is the most important one. You need to stop thinking like a content creator and start thinking like a CEO. Here's what I mean by that. Content creators always ask, what should I post today? CEOs ask, what does my business need this quarter? While most content creators are measuring views and subscribers, CEO entrepreneurs are measuring their authority and impact in their industry. Most content creators think, I need to go viral. Whereas CEOs are thinking, I need to serve my ideal audience. When I started, like most people, I was obsessed with getting views. I would just post random videos about productivity, motivation, business tips. I was all over the place. Does this sound familiar? After being a couple months in on my first channel, I had barely any subscribers, barely any views, and I had no idea what I was even doing. My content was all over the place because I was all over the place. But then I made the CEO shift. I started to realize that there was something more important. I started asking, should I be focusing this much on views? Or should I just focus on what my ideal client actually needs from me? So instead of posting randomly like normal, I created a strategic content plan. Instead of measuring views, I started to measure the connection and authority. This exact mindset is what triggered my explosive growth on YouTube. And when I eventually got to 360,000 subscribers, I knew that it didn't happen by mistake. It happened because I started thinking strategically. Proverbs 27:14 in the Bible says, "Be sure to know the condition of your flocks. Give careful attention to your herds." This is one of the things that most of us don't pay attention to, is what does our ideal client actually need from us? If we are called to serve, then who are the people that we are serving and what do they actually need from us? Your YouTube channel is one of the biggest parts of your business ecosystem. You need to shepherd it with strategy, not just hope. I want you to take note of something right now. Your YouTube channel exists for a specific goal, to serve a specific type of person, and to provide a specific transformation to that person. If you can't fill in those blanks, then you're thinking like a random content creator. I want you to actually write this out and fill in the answers. By doing this, you will have a mission statement that you can use to start your channel today. Or if you already have a channel and you haven't seen success on your channel or in your business, this will help you more than you can imagine. And your mindset will start to shift and you'll start to think like a CEO instead of a random content creator. But just knowing that isn't enough. We also have to know how we can shift from just being a random niche to an authority in our industry. The second shift that's crushing it right now is moving from finding a niche to claiming an authority position. Your positioning is so much more than just having a niche. A niche is what you talk about, but being an authority is knowing who you are to your specific audience. Everyone talks about finding a niche, whether it's business, advice, productivity tips, marketing strategies, but there are thousands of people in each of those niches. You need to know what it is that makes you specific to your audience. I used to simply say that I just helped entrepreneurs grow their businesses, but that's not specific. That's almost everybody. And I was drowning in a sea of generic business advice. But then I discovered my authority position. I'm the guy who went from an invisible entrepreneur to 360,000 subscribers on YouTube. I'm the authority helping entrepreneurs use YouTube to build their platforms and businesses. Do you see the difference? Your unique positioning in the market is what's going to make you stand out. When I positioned myself this way, everything started to change. I stopped making the content that I thought that everyone wanted to see, and I started speaking directly to my people. People also started to see that I genuinely wanted to help them. Here's the formula that I worked out for me specifically. I realized that I'm the unique person who has a specific achievement, and I can help specific people with a specific transformation. This leads me into the next shift that you can start making right now. When I stopped focusing on the views and thinking that the views is what was important and focusing on how they were actually leads, this is when everything changed for me. I started to realize that you could post as much short form content as you want and get millions of views. But if it's not something that is helping your ideal audience, you're leaving a lot of leads on the table. The truth is, there's a lot of people out there posting random things that get a lot of engagement, a lot of likes, and a lot of shares. But if you can take advantage of that and actually use it to benefit your business, why not take that same way of thinking and use it to bring leads into your business? Here's what I want you to do. Start focusing on hooks, storytelling, and calls to action that speak to your specific audience. Every piece of content that you create should be specifically for those people. Now, this brings us into the fourth shift. Stop looking at posting as simply just posting and look at it as building your business. Each strategic post that you make is another brick that helps to build out your business. And this is the one that surprises most people, because a lot of us think that we are supposed to just post random content into the void. But this isn't even true. The main thing we really need to focus on when posting is building out systems. And I understand that everybody always talks about consistency is key. And this is true. But a lot of times we focus so much on being consistent that we don't focus enough on the quality. It's kind of a catch-22 because we want to post a lot of content, but at the same time, we don't want to post so much that it sacrifices the quality of what we're putting out there. But honestly, a lot of information these days is outdated. And in the times that we're living in right now, it's not so much the ones who post the most that are going to see success, but it's the ones that are actually building the best systems. This is exactly how I built my channel to get to 360,000 subscribers. But I'm also sharing with you a lot of the mistakes that I've learned along the way. And one of the biggest shifts that I made was I stopped posting randomly, hoping that something would stick. And I realized that every video had a purpose in my growth system. And I realized that one of the best things is to just focus on one topic each week with all the content you put out there. Focus on one specific problem for one specific person. And this is the same system that I use to this day. This is also the system where I started to see explosive growth. But here's the craziest part. I was actually posting less than most creators in my space, but getting exponentially better results. Why? Because every video had a plan. Every video was built towards the next level of growth, and every video moved my audience deeper into my world. So just remember, with your content, you are building. And when you're building, you need a strong foundation. Before you post another piece of content, I want you to ask yourself, what job does this piece of content actually have in my growth system? If you can't answer that, then don't make the video. Now, shift 5 is how you go from being viral to valuable. And this is the one that's going to save you from the biggest time waster on YouTube. Stop chasing viral and start creating valuable. Here's what everyone gets wrong about going viral. They think that viral equals successful, but it doesn't. This is what I mentioned earlier. You can have millions of views and millions of subscribers, but this doesn't necessarily mean you have success. I've had videos that went into the millions and thousands of views, but it did nothing whatsoever for my channel or my business. And I've had videos that were valuable that actually brought in my ideal clients. So what's the difference? One of those videos went viral to the wrong people, and one of those videos provided value to the right people. A lot of times what viral content that's not posted in a strategic way ends up doing is it gets you a lot of views from people who do not care about your message. This type of content can attract a lot of curiosity seekers, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're your ideal clients. And it doesn't really even build any long-term authority. But here's what valuable content does. It gets views from people who need your expertise. It attracts your ideal audience members and creates loyal, engaged communities and consistently builds out your authority. My quality subscribers didn't come from just chasing viral moments. They came from actual consistency. They came from providing consistent value. Every video you create should ask the question, will this help someone who needs what I have? And will this bring my ideal viewer closer to their goal? And honestly, am I the right person to give them this message? If the answer is yes to all of those, then create it. Always make sure that you're building for your audience and not just the algorithm. You don't need millions of views, just the right ones. 1,000 of the right people is way better than having 100,000 of the wrong people. And it's crazy how many people can actually run sustainable businesses off of just 1,000 subscribers. The difference is that they are engaged in their content, which leads us into our next shift, which is shifting from SEO to authority SEO. If you didn't already know, SEO stands for search engine optimization. This is one of the ways that people find your videos over time. What most people do for YouTube SEO is the same thing that everyone else is doing, and that's commodity thinking. Authority SEO is way different. Instead of competing for keywords with everyone else, you create them. Instead of following trends, you are the one starting them. And instead of optimizing for the algorithm, you optimize for something way more important, which is authority. This is what has helped me to get to where I am. The majority of my titles are based on providing value. There's a lot of titles that you could come up with where it seems like you're competing with everyone else out there. But when you talk about your specific authority, this is what separates you from the rest. It positions you as someone who knows what others don't. This approach is exactly what has helped me. While everyone else is making generic how-to content, you are creating with authority. Content that actually makes people stop and say, you know what? I need to hear this. Examples of this is starting with problem-first titles. You start with the pain point that your audience feels and put that in the beginning. Something like why you're still invisible on YouTube and the mistake that's keeping your channel small. You see how that speaks to you? Or what nobody tells you about YouTube success. This isn't just clickbait. This is actually speaking to your audience and then providing the answer that they need to hear in the video. It's like a way of showing them that they're in the right place. By using your authority language, you're positioning yourself as the expert in your industry. And this is one of the biggest ways to build trust with your ideal audience. This authority SEO approach is what can change the game for you. People won't just find your content, but they'll find the authority on YouTube that they have been looking for. What I want you to do is audit your last 5 video titles and see if they fit in with this framework. If they don't, try to come up with some new ones that will speak to your ideal audience. The next shift is focusing on taking your audience and turning them into your community. And this is what's really dominating in this day and age, is to stop building simply an audience, but start building a community. Here's the difference. An audience will consume your content, but a community will connect with your mission. An audience watches passively, but your community will actively engage. An audience may subscribe, but a community becomes your advocates. They become the people of your tribe. My journey has taught me that the best channels with the best businesses behind them aren't just building channels. They're building communities. It's incredible how I had grown so much on YouTube, but realized that I didn't know anybody in my community. I had a lot of subscribers, but no connection. But when you build a community where you're part of the same message and you're helping those people to grow, it's something amazing. And that's why I'm so dedicated to my mission of helping entrepreneurs who are overwhelmed and insecure and helping them to grow, all while establishing their authority using YouTube and being able to eventually live the life of their dreams doing what they love doing. You see, we are all working to build authority in our industries. And one of the biggest things that helps is having a shared language. You see, when you're part of a community, you're basically part of a family. We celebrate each other's wins, we help each other out any way we can, and we grow together. And after a while, your subscribers aren't just watching your videos. They're sharing their breakthroughs in the comments. They're sharing your message with their friends. Then they start to create their own content inspired by yours. And they eventually become advocates for your mission. To me, that's not just an audience. That's a community, and that's a family. And movements grow faster than audiences ever will. When you build a community, you're not just connecting with individuals. When you build a community, you're making a connection, and that creates a strength that cannot be broken. So ask yourself, Am I building an audience that consumes my content, or am I building a community that carries my mission? This answer will determine your long-term success. Let me be real with you. These 7 shifts aren't just suggestions. They are requirements. Let's recap what we just talked about. Number 1 is the CEO mindset, thinking strategy and not content. Number 2 is authority positioning. This is your own unique space and who you actually are shining through. Number 3 is the value of your views and realizing that views are actually potential leads and potential leads are potential clients. Number 4 is system building, strategic and not random. Number 5 is value over viral. The right audience does not always mean a big audience. Number 6 is authority CEO, creating your category and not simply chasing keywords. And then finally, number 7 is community building. This is all about building a movement, not simply just viewership. And this is what will take you from invisible to authority, from someone hoping that people would notice them, transforming into the go-to expert in your industry. Here's what's going to happen one way or another. The creators who make these shifts will dominate. Ones who don't will stay stuck. There is no middle ground anymore. I know because I've been there. I've felt the frustration of being invisible and unseen. I've questioned whether my message even mattered, but these 7 shifts, they changed everything for me, and they took me from being unknown to 360,000 subscribers. From invisible to authority, from questioning everything to knowing my value. Your message matters and your expertise is needed. The world needs what you have to offer, but only if you can break through the noise the way that I did. Look, I know this is a lot to process. 7 major shifts, that's a lot. That's why I created something that will help you drastically. And it's something that will help you to implement what I teach. It's called the 5 content mistakes killing your growth and how to fix them. Inside, you'll get a comprehensive guide that will guide you towards success in your YouTube channel and your business. Just click the link below to grab your copy. This isn't theory, this is the real system that created real results. Here's what I want you to remember. Starting a YouTube channel in this day and age is not harder because of competition. It's harder because most people are still fighting yesterday's battles. But when you make these 7 shifts, when you think like a CEO instead of a creator, when you build authority instead of chasing viral, and when you focus on community instead of audience, you don't just grow a YouTube channel. You build a platform. You establish authority and you create influence. And you will become the go-to expert in your field. In Isaiah 43:19, God says, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it?" God is doing something new in your business as well, in your message, in your calling. And YouTube might just be the vehicle that He's using to make all this happen. So here's my challenge to you. Stop playing by the old rules. Stop thinking like everyone else and stop settling for invisible. If I could do it after failing time after time, you can do it too. So get out there and create with confidence.